Hello.
Daddy,
Hello.
Mama, and Daddy. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
We're having a good time today, as you can see. When we're going to jump right in there before I get choked up. Teresa, pop a question on us.
Pop it up again.
Pop it up.
Gene Madsen wants me to ask Billy to talk about his father. I read he was one of Graceland's first gate guards.
He was
He was the first one.
the very
The
first.
very first.
Gosh, my daddy, he was a character. Aunt Gladys and Daddy were, they were pretty tight. All through the years and all. Even back, in Tupelo days. Of course, that family always, was pretty close. So, but when we moved to Memphis, naturally, as a lot of I talked about it so many times, we moved with Aunt Gladys and Uncle Vernon and Elvis to Memphis at the same time, same car. Lived in the same, apartment building, and which was actually a house. I've said that before. It had 2 levels, and they was downstairs and we was up. And anyway, Elvis took his first driving test in my daddy's car. Daddy had started working for the Precision Tool Company. This is a little later, after we'd been in Memphis, for a couple, 3 years. And he had bought a Chevrolet, which was a fairly new car back then. It was a 51 model Chevy, I think, deluxe 4-door, and green with the visor and all that. I remember the car because it was, like the first new car, I guess, we'd ever had. And Aunt Gladys and Uncle Vernon and Elvis all went riding in it, and Elvis asked Daddy if he would mind if he could take a driver's test in his car rather than, that old Lincoln that they had, and which was, not very reliable. They sometimes it cranked, sometimes it wouldn't. They'd push it off and all kind of stuff. But anyway, he did. But when when he got famous, and started getting, really big, naturally he bought the house on Audubon Drive, and it had become, even with, a fence around it, and he had a little fence around it and all that. But I remember when it didn't have the fence, and gosh, it was, fans all around the place, and the only thing was fenced in was the back part of it, and had a little picket fence. It was about maybe 3 feet high, a little higher. But anyway, it got to where that was, starting to continue way into the late hours of the night, and so he asked Daddy, him and Aunt Gladys and Uncle Vernon asked, said, would you, because Daddy always, he got along with people real good. He knew how to, he was likable, let me put it that way. So anyway, they actually hired Daddy on Audubon Drive to kind of control the fans and all that, and, biggest thing was try to keep them off the other lawns, because then people were starting to complain about, the yards and all that, and that's where the old saying, they wanted to all get together and buy Elvis out. And he said, well, find out how much they want, and I'll buy them out, because Elvis's was the only house on that block it was paid for. But anyway, but yeah, Daddy started in,
Is that where they complained when she hung her clothes out on the clothesline?
yeah, but she did that even at Graceland. I guess it was just, from
old times
and habit, but yeah, anyway, that's my daddy. He was, he was the first one, and I remember when we moved to Graceland and all, he pretty much took care of the place there, because there was no fence, it was just the house there, and Elvis was having it,
Redecorated.
redecorated and remodeled to some degree. And
Y'all actually moved there before,
well, we
Yeah.
moved there, yeah, because
into
of,
that big White House in
in
the,
that big white house in the back, right? We moved there first. Anyway, he took care of that because Aunt Gladys and them, they were also they went out there for the movie Loving You, and they were gone, a couple of months. And so Daddy took care of that, and the grounds, and the fans were actually starting to come around then, and he got to working with the fans. In fact, I think Daddy he liked the job real well, and Elvis had a lot of confidence in him and all, and so he kept him on. And my daddy, he could not read or write. He, I think, in fact, I know when he moved to Graceland, after we lived there about a year or so, people would, some of the fans would come, and they'd ask him for his autograph, and Daddy just put them off. But anyway, he had a couple of people teach him how to write his name and all, and he would just put Travis Smith on it. Mm-hmm. But Elvis, he always called him Uncle Travis. Would you do this or would you do that? And Elvis cared a lot about Daddy. He did. And,
he had a lot of respect for your
right,
daddy.
Yeah, and of course, like I say, Elvis's mother and Daddy, being brother and sister, they were kind of close too. So, but anyway, my daddy, he was a character. A lot like to pull pranks too sometimes, But anyway, that just kind of sums up, Elvis being his first gate guard, he was.
And he actually was there until he became ill and couldn't work anymore.
Well,
And
my daddy
Elvis retired him.
Yeah, he had a stroke.
Had a stroke.
And Elvis retired him and kept him on his payroll up until
He died.
my daddy died, and then he kept on
your
paying
mother.
my mama on
Yeah.
his payroll. So,
I was going to say,
Elvis-
paid her all the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But that was my daddy. He was a lot of pictures of him out there.
I'll have to find some and put them
Yeah,
on
we'll
video.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
we'll put some on the video a little later and all.
Travis Smith.
He got the first shirts that were made that had the EP on them with a cap, looked like a little uniform. It had usually white shirts with dark blue pants. And,
The older fans that way back, the ones that first started coming to Graceland, they'll remember him
Oh,
for
yeah.
they had the pink and white Jeep, didn't they? Then?
Well,
Well,
back
he had
then,
another one before
the only
that.
thing they had back then was a 3-wheel golf cart.
Yeah,
that-
that's right. I
that's
forgot
right.
it was original.
And there's pictures of Daddy in
Yeah.
the cart and sitting out at the gate and all that. And they'd have to charge it up, about every 6 hours you'd have to charge it. So they had a charger put in down at the gate. Anyway, he'd actually take fans up,
Yeah.
They were all.
He was
like I said,
he was real
really good with
to
fans
Elvis
because
fans.
he'd take them, if there wasn't too many of them, naturally, he would open the gate and just let them, hang around the gate. Actually, inside, as long as they didn't try to
Run.
run, because now that would hack him off. He didn't like that, But Elvis thought he was a great gate guard. He really was. And of course, he hired other family members. Uncle Vester was a good gate guard.
Yeah.
Harold.
It was Elvis hired a lot of his family, his people who worked for him and all.
Yeah.
Well, next question, excuse me.
All right. This is from Kythie. Where did you move to when you left Graceland, and did Joe ever work for Elvis?
That's kind of a two-parter question.
That's a two-parter. So I'm gonna let
We
you start with
actually in December after Elvis's death, Billy just decided he just couldn't handle there anymore, and Danny, Joey, me, all of us, it was just kind of, well, it was not kind of, it was not the same. And so he went to Vernon and told him that we were going to leave, and we did. We moved to Horn Lake, Mississippi, and
It's the same city where Joey's a police officer
yeah,
now.
Joey's a police officer. Danny and Joey went to school down there, and
I went back to work for the railroad.
you went back to work for the railroad. And what was that? And oh, I know where. I was on Elvis's payroll, but I didn't actually work. I was on his payroll once, and it was when Billy was injured, and so I was on. It was for various reasons, but anyway, I didn't. I wouldn't call that work, because I just toured and did all that stuff. But every tour he gave me a bonus, which was anywhere
like
between $3,000 or $5,000 on each tour that we went on. And I mean, just like the guys, I got a bonus.
He did?
Yes.
Hell, he paid you more than he did.
I was worth more.
Yeah.
But it was,
You better be careful.
but it was shop. But no,
That's for sure.
that's he was always just, very, very generous. So he always thought women needed special things, and like he'd always say, those little things, you need to get your little perfume and
Well,
all your stuff.
I
so.
thought I need little things too. Little bitty things.
Little bitty
not
things,
big
so they would
For a little
fit.
bitty fella. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how that went.
Save yourself, little fella.
Yeah, save yourself.
and with that, I hate it as bad as y'all do, but
We wish you an affectionate.
Of loving farewell.
Yes.
And remember,
yes. Until we see you again,
we always live Elvis.